Your KPIs are lying to you and it's destroying your team. You've got dashboards, you've got weekly reports, you've got metrics for everything, and yet nothing changes. Your team is drowning in numbers, but execution is still chaos. The scoreboard is full, but nobody's winning. Here's the deal. Measurement without context is noise. And if trust is low in your organization, those KPIs you're using to drive accountability, they become weapons. Your people aren't performing better, they're performing safer. They're gaming the system, hiding problems, and optimizing for the metrics instead of the mission. I work with a CEO who had a 40-person team and 12 dashboards. Sales metrics, project completion rates, customer satisfaction scores, time to close, support ticket volume. Every department had targets. Every meeting started with a review of the numbers, and yet nothing moved. Projects were on track until they weren't. Sales reps hit their call volume targets, but weren't closing deals. Support tickets got resolved quickly, but the same issue kept coming back. The metrics said everything was fine. The reality was that the business was stuck. We dug into it. Here's what we found. The scoreboard was measuring activity, not outcomes. The KPIs weren't aligned to the quarterly initiatives. They were tracking effort, and when trust is low, effort is the easiest thing to fake. That's the trap. You're a competent leader who's built something real, but your organization has outgrown heroic leadership, and the measurement systems that got you here are now creating the exact behavior you're trying to eliminate. You're not crazy, your KPIs are just measuring the wrong game. By the end of this video, you'll understand why your performance metrics are creating fear instead of clarity and what to do about it. You'll see the difference between execution culture and micromanagement, and you'll know how to design a scoreboard that reinforces strategic intent instead of distracting from it. Point number 1. Your dashboards are full of noise, not signal. Execution without measurement is guessing, but measurement without context is noise. You can't improve what you can't measure. That's true, but measuring everything creates a different problem. You drown in data and lose sight of what actually matters. The issue isn't that you're measuring too much, it's that your KPIs aren't connected to strategic intent. They're tracking activity instead of outcomes. The team tracks hours logged instead of problem solved. They hit their time targets, but the reoccurring issues don't get fixed. The metric feels productive, but it's just noise. If you ever watched hockey, you'd know that they keep track of shots on goal. But if that was what the scoreboard showed, you could miss every shot and still look like you're winning. That's what happens when KPIs measure effort instead of results. If your team is hitting their numbers, but execution still feels chaotic, your scoreboard is measuring the wrong metric. The numbers lie because they lack context. The scoreboard must reflect strategic intent. KPIs should reinforce the initiatives of the quarter, not distract from them. If your Q1 priority is improving customer retention, but your sales team is still being measured on volume alone, the metrics are fighting the strategy. You've got a dashboard that tells you you're winning while your business is bleeding customers. Here's what that means for you. Stop looking whether the numbers are green. Start asking whether the numbers are driving the behavior you need to win and the game you're actually playing. Point number 2. Your KPIs aren't neutral. They either build trust or they destroy it. If trust is low, metrics become weapons. If trust is high, metrics become alignment tools. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The same KPI produces totally different behavior depending on the culture it lives in. In a high-trust culture, metrics clarify expectations. They help teams self-correct. They surface problems early. People use the numbers to collaborate and improve. In a low-trust culture, metrics become surveillance. Teams optimize for the metric instead of the mission. They hide problems instead of solving them. They game the system because they don't trust the system. I saw this with a service company that tracked project completion on time. Sounds reasonable, right? But the trust was low, so project managers started padding timelines. They marked milestones complete even when work wasn't done, thinking they'd catch up by the time it really mattered. The metrics looked great. The clients were furious. Why does this happen? When people don't trust that leadership will respond to bad news rationally, they stop reporting bad news. The KPIs become theater. You're not measuring performance, you're measuring fear. If your team is hitting their numbers, but you're still firefighting reoccurring problems, you've got a trust issue, not a performance issue. The metrics are working exactly as designed. They're protecting people from consequences, not driving execution. Performance measures should clarify behavior, not create fear. If your KPIs feel like micromanagement, they are. You built a system that punishes honesty and rewards safe behavior. At the end of the day, the question isn't, are we hitting our targets? The question is, do our people trust that telling the truth about the numbers will make things better or worse? If it's the latter, your scoreboard is a weapon and your team is defending against you. Point number 3. You can't win a game if the scoreboard is tracking the wrong things. The scoreboard must reflect strategic intent. KPIs should reinforce the initiatives of the quarter, not distract from them. Here's the pattern I see over and over. Leaders inherit metrics from last quarter, last year, or last decade. They keep tracking them because we've always tracked them. But the business has changed. Strategy has shifted and the KPIs are still measuring the old game. A company's Q2 priority was improving operational efficiency. They wanted to reduce rework and reoccurring issues. But their KPIs were still focused on speed, ticket close per day, projects delivered on deadline. The team optimized for speed. They closed tickets fast. They hit deadlines, but quality tanked. Problems came back. Clients complained. The scoreboard said they were winning. The business was suffering. Are your KPIs reinforcing the initiative of the quarter, or are they distracting from them? If you're prioritizing customer retention but still measuring your team on acquisition volume, the scoreboard is lying. If you're trying to build a system that works without you but still tracks decisions made per week, you're rewarding dependency, not autonomy. You don't need more data. You need the right data. Align your KPIs to your quarterly priorities. If your Q3 goal is improving decision quality, measure how often decisions stick, not how fast they're made. If your priority is reducing escalations, track how many problems get solved at the right level, not how many tickets get closed. The scoreboard must reflect the game you're actually trying to win. Otherwise, you're coaching basketball while the scoreboard is tracking bowling pins. Your team will optimize for whatever you measure. Make sure you're measuring the right thing. Look, if you're watching this and realizing your KPIs are measuring the wrong game, you're not alone. Most leaders inherit these systems. They didn't design them. As I always say, left to their own devices, this is what they came up with. So they just keep running them because that's how we've done it. But here's the truth. Your business has outgrown heroic leadership. You can't fix this by working harder. You need to redesign the architecture. You need a scoreboard that reflects strategic intent, a culture that supports accountability, and a system that works without you. That's exactly what I help leaders build. If you're ready to stop being the bottleneck and start building a team that makes decisions well and surfaces problems early, let's talk. Point number 4. Execution culture is not micromanagement. Here's the difference. Execution culture is not micromanagement. It's clarity, cadence, and consequence. Let's draw a line, because this is where most leaders get stuck. They know they need accountability, but they've seen micromanagement destroy teams, so they pull back. They avoid structure, and then nothing happens. Here's the difference. Micromanagement. You control the how, you hover, you check constantly, you don't trust your team to execute without you. The KPIs are surveillance tools. Execution culture. You define the what and the why. You set a rhythm, you clarify expectations, and you follow through when people miss the mark. The KPIs are alignment tools. Micromanagement. Why didn't you send out that email yet? I needed to see the draft before it goes out. Execution culture. Our standard is that client emails go out within 24 hours. That didn't happen. What broke down and how do we prevent it? One is about control, the other is about standards. If your team sees you as the decision maker instead of the leader, it's because you built a system that requires your involvement. The KPIs don't clarify behavior, they just track whether you're paying attention. Execution culture has 3 pillars. Clarity. Everyone knows what good looks like. Standards are clear, priorities are clear, the scoreboard is clear. Cadence. There's a rhythm to review, reflection, and recalibration. Weekly check-ins, monthly retrospectives, quarterly realignment. The system doesn't depend on your memory or your mood. Consequence. When someone misses the mark, something happens. Not punishment, consequence. A conversation, a correction, a decision. The metric isn't just a number, it drives behavior. If your KPIs feel like micromanagement, it's because you're using them to control instead of clarify. Real execution culture doesn't need surveillance. It needs a scoreboard that tells the truth and a system that responds to it. You're not building a system that tracks whether people are working. You're building a system that clarifies what success looks like and creates the conditions for people to execute without you. That's the shift. Point number 5. Gamification can work, but if trust is low, it backfires fast. Gamification can work, but only if culture supports it. Here's the pitch. Let's make performance fun. Let's create leaderboards, badges, competitions. Let's turn work into a game. And in the right culture, it can work. People compete, they push each other, they use scoreboards to improve. But in a low trust culture, gamification accelerates all the wrong behaviors. People cheat, they sandbag their numbers to win the next round. They hoard information, they optimize for the leaderboard instead of for the mission. A sales team implemented a leaderboard to track closed deals. The top performer every month got a bonus and public recognition. Sounds motivating, right? Here's what happened. Reps started hoarding deals until the last day of the month to win the competition. They stopped collaborating, they hid pipeline data from each other. The leaderboard created competition against the team instead of for the client. Gamification amplifies whatever culture already exists. If trust is high, it amplifies collaboration. If trust is low, it amplifies self-protection. Are your people using scoreboards to improve, or are they using it to survive? Don't add gamification to a broken system and expect it to fix the culture. Fix the culture first, then, and only then, consider gamification as an accelerant. If your people don't trust the system, they won't play the game you designed. They'll play the game they need to survive. And that game has nothing to do with your mission. Here's what we've covered. Measurement without context is noise. Your KPIs need to reflect strategic intent, not just track activity. If trust is low, metrics become weapons. In a high-trust culture, KPIs clarify behavior. In a low-trust culture, they create fear. The scoreboard must measure the right game. Align your KPIs to your quarterly priorities, or they'll distract from them. Execution culture is clarity, cadence, and consequence. It's not micromanagement, it's architecture. Gamification only works if culture supports it. Don't add leaderboards to a broken system and expect magic. Stop asking, are we hitting our numbers? Start asking, are our numbers driving the behavior we need to win? Now that you understand why your KPIs aren't driving execution, the next question is, how do you redesign them? How do you build a scoreboard that clarifies behavior instead of creating noise? In an upcoming video, I'll walk you through the exact framework I use with clients to align metrics to strategy, eliminate noise, and create clarity that doesn't require your constant involvement.